Hi everyone, it's craftytinas. Today's video is going to be a triple fold notebook. It's actually a triple fold blank calendar, and it is with the 1-inch binding. I had a request to do a 1-inch after they saw my video on doing the mini planner. This was the small one I did that was a 1/4 page, and it had the magnetic wipe on, wipe off board. And this was my mini calendar I designed to go on the inside. You can find this in my YouTube channel. You can see me make this notebook. It is the mini blank planner. My request was for them to use the 1-inch wire, so I needed to make a 1-inch binder. So I'm going to show you how you can make these notebooks in any thickness by changing the actual piece of chipboard that goes in between the two pieces of chipboard. So let's get started on what's inside this notebook, where you can find all the printouts, and then we're going to get to making this notebook. This again is a triple fold, and that is because it opens into 3 parts. The first part, I have made an envelope or pocket with a magnetic closure to hold a pack of gel pens. There's 8 gel pens, and these came from Dollar Tree. I was going to put an elastic band around the pack, but it really tackied up this notebook because it is black alligator print vinyl. It looks really professional, so laying those pack of pens up against this pretty black and trying to figure out how to put an elastic and making it look decent, it just wasn't working out. So I got out my trusty envelope punch board and I made this packet. Now this packet is a whole nother video. I show you how to make envelopes using this board, and this packet was made during that video so that you can refer to it to make this packet for this notebook should you choose to. You don't have to put gel pens in this packet. You can put anything. You could put stickers, you could put a post-it notes, you could put index cards, or you could just put loose pens. I am probably going to take them out of this cheap packing and put them in here loose. Again, this was made using the envelope punch board, and it is in another video. I will put the link to the video for this packet in the description of this YouTube so that you'll be able to check it out. Now the other part of this notebook is a blank calendar. Again, this was the design I came up with for my mini blank calendar. This is a 1/4 page, and I fold them. So they are double-sided, but they're not single sheet double-sided. I made the design for the 1/2 inch, or the 1/2 page rather. This made the squares bigger. It made the little square for the days of the week larger. The mini was so that you could make your own calendar. It could start when you wanted, it could end when you wanted. It didn't have to be January through December. It could be for a school period like August through May, to really give you flexibility. Then someone posted, thank you very much, on my Facebook page, this set of stamps. Now I had these in my wish list. I wasn't sure what I would do with them, so they just kind of sat there. I had one of my followers post this on my Facebook page that they were trying to use this with the mini calendar, and it just wasn't fitting. You could not get the numbers in the little square. So this is the 1/2 page blank calendar, and it does fit perfectly with this stamp set, and I'll also put the link in the description for you. This is something you can customize this yourself, or you could gift this to the person receiving it and they could make it themselves as well. This stamp set fits perfectly with the blank calendar. You don't have to have the stamp set. You could simply write the days of the week, the numbers of the month, and even put the month up here in the year. It's very customizable. This is a PDF, so you could even go in there and modify it however you want. I just made it blank because I don't know when I would gift this, so I didn't want to have it start at the wrong month or have it start at an odd time for the person getting the gift. The next section, I have 12 months here. And this is the first page, which is blank, and then it starts the calendar. This is blank, and it's the back of the calendar. So on my Facebook page, these printouts are available for you. Again, they are folded. They are not cut. You're simply printing out the whole page and folding it in half and punching it with your cinch, which I will show you how to do in this video. After the calendar, you have a divider, which is a piece of just regular cardstock. I used scrapbook paper to make a pocket on the front and the back, and I'm going to show you how to do that. The next page is my lined page for a stamped image. Now you can put this at the top or at the bottom. It all depends on how you put your paper in. So you can have it look like that or like this. I made this book with this blank area in the bottom. I'm making the book today with the blank area on the top. And I left this blank area so that you can put a stamped image there. I bought a bunch of stamps that have nice faith-based encouraging stamps, and I want to put them here. This is also on my Facebook page. They are folded papers. You print one sheet and fold it in half, punch it in your notebook. It is followed by another divider with cardstock, scrapbook paper for a double pocket, and then I have some just sketch paper. This is actually watercolor paper. I got a really good deal. It was on sale. It's a very thick, stiff, nice, smooth paper for drawing, coloring. It's made for watercoloring, but it also makes a really good drawing paper. And then my final divider is another piece of cardstock with a wavy cut pocket for both sides, and I will show you that as well. I did not put a dry erase page in here. That is in my mini book. I did not put that in this book, but you could also add it here if you wish. So because this is a triple fold, it basically has 3 covers. 2 of the covers, the front flap and the very back, are connected, and the cover covering the pages is our standard cover. And I'm going to show you how to make both. Now this is a 7/8 inch wire, which is almost 1 inch. I did not have 1 inch. The person who asked for this video is using 1 inch wire. I just want to let everyone know that you can do this exact book, this measurement, with a 1 inch wire. I do not have an elastic strap on this notebook. That is for another video, only because I want to compare my new Big Bite with my original crocodile. So I'm going to take a bunch of notebooks that I've already made, and I'm going to do a comparison video and show you how to use both. So I want to save this notebook for that video. This video is basically to show you how you get it to be a triple fold. You need, this piece here needs to be the size of your wire, and that is what I want to show you guys. So let's get started and go over what we need. I am making this notebook out of wallpaper. This is a black alligator type print. It's just vinyl, it's adhesive, it comes in a roll, and you grab it on Amazon. I'll include the link just in case you like this. I kind of like it. It's kind of a neat texture. It's not girly, which is where I usually tend to go. I don't usually do a lot of black or solid colors like this. So it would be a good gift for a guy who you don't want to give your pretty little glitter print to. So we need 2 pieces of this wallpaper. The first piece of the wallpaper is going to be 10 inches wide, and I'm confirming, by 6.5 inches. And the reason it needs to be that size is because it needs to be 1 inch bigger than our chipboard. The next piece of vinyl is much bigger. It needs to be 14 wide by 10 inches. And the reason this piece needs to be so big is because that piece has to cover 2 of our covers, plus the little insert we're going to use. Those are the 2 pieces of vinyl we need. You do not have to use vinyl for this notebook. However, remember, this is 14 inches, so unless you have paper that's 14 inches wide, you may run into a problem. You could put 2 pieces of paper together and do that, but it would make it a little more complicated. The other supplies we're going to need is the inside pieces. And this is why I don't like black, it just shows everything. We need 2 pieces of black cardstock to go on the inside of our book. That is this piece that covers the 2 back chipboards and the piece in the center. And then we need a piece to go on the inside of this single cover. This piece of cardstock is 8 1/4 by 5 1/4. The back piece of cardstock is 12 inches, so I was able to use a 12-inch piece by 8 1/4. So this is 12 inches by 8 1/4. The next thing we're going to talk about is our chipboard. This is what makes up our covers. You're going to need 3 pieces of 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. You need 3 of those. You're going to need 1 piece that's 1 inch by 8 1/2. Now here's where you can change this piece to change the thickness of your notebook. If you don't want your notebook this thick, this is the piece you would change. If your wire was only going to be a 1/2 inch, then instead of using 1 inch, you would use a 1/2 inch. You're going to put it together the exact same way. There's nothing changing except the size of your wire, and this binding is going to be smaller, so you won't be able to fit everything inside. If you weren't going to put the gel pens in there, you could go smaller and still have a triple fold, but not hold the actual gel pens inside. You could have them on the outside if you would like. The next thing you're going to need is scrapbook paper for your dividers to make the pockets. Again, an optional choice. You need 3 pieces of 8 1/2 by 5 1/2 cardstock for the dividers that hold the pockets. You could just put the dividers in and not put the pockets in. It's a total, the beauty of these notebooks, and the reason I think we like to make them so much, because I've made a lot, is because there's so much variety you can do. Now here are the inserts you need, and these are all found on my Facebook page. You need the blank calendar. I have 12 months here. You need the lined pages for the stamp. You could also just use lined pages or blank pages. I have added 12. And then you need the drawing paper if you're going to go that route, and I've added 12. So 12 months, 12 pages, 12 pages. Easy to remember. Let's get started making our outer covers first. That is the most complicated piece out of the whole book is this. And it is not that complicated. It's very simple. I'm also going to show you how to punch the holes. I did a divided wire here, which means I put 5 wires on one side and 5 on the other. They are not connected. They are separate, independent pieces of wire. So we are going to cut this wire to be 2 separate pieces. Let's make our large cover first. Now I do have 2 optional tools here. My husband 3D printed one for me, and then he laser cut colored acrylic because he wanted to play, and he put my craftytinas on there. Isn't that cool? So now I have 2. I don't need 2, but I am making a new book that you may need 2. So that's coming up, but I'm still figuring out how to make it. I have the idea, but haven't quite finished it yet. That's why I have 2 laying here. I'm going to use this one. As you can see, the 3D print kind of left this one a little too flexible, and it is crooked. So when you do buy these on Amazon, make sure they're straight, because that's going to make a difference. We need 1 piece of chipboard for our cover, our 1 inch piece, because that's how big our wire is, and then 1 more cover. We need these 3 pieces of chipboard first. We're going to move all of this out of the way, and we're going to start with our biggest piece of a vinyl. And again, this is wallpaper that I'm using. And we are going to get going. So we're going to flip this over so that we're working from the back. We want it to be sticky side up. And we really want the vinyl to come off the backing so that I can show you what I'm doing. You know, when I make this off camera, it takes me nothing to take the vinyl off. Here we go. So we're going to pull back one of the short sides, and that is where we're going to start. Now I have to fit all 3 pieces across this piece of vinyl, and I need to fit them straight. So getting the first piece straight is helpful, but I did allow more than a 1/2 inch so that if I do get off a little, I'm still covered. I like to put this down on my cutting mat because then I can see the lines. And by seeing the lines, I can semi-line up, giving myself a 1/2 inch, but giving myself similar space on top and bottom. See how I have about a 1/2 inch, and then I have almost the same space here as here. And I'm going to lay that down. Now I'm going to pull the paper so that it exposes the adhesive while I work my way across. And then I simply just want to mash this down so there are no air bubbles. For my next piece, I need to have a gap between this piece of chipboard and this piece of chipboard. That is why these book binding tools are important if you're going to make books such as this. Now, all you have to do is place this on this corner. And just because I can, I'm going to place one on top and bottom, because these are both the same size. Now I want to put this piece up against, flush with this corner down here, because that's what's going to keep it straight. And see how this is straight, but I have a little gap here, which leads me to believe that my cutter did not cut my little strip exactly straight. I'm convinced there is no paper cutter or any other kind of cutter that will actually cut perfectly straight. I'm going to move those over. This gives me the perfect gap all the way down. And I'm going to add my next chipboard in the corner up against. And you can see that this chipboard is slightly larger than this, just like this side. So I'm going to remove this little guy, or at least pick him up. So this piece of chipboard was slightly smaller. That is fine, because you're not going to notice that. And then I'm going to remove my little divider. Now I can pull the rest of the paper off. And you see I did leave more than a 1/2 inch all the way around. I started at a 1/2 inch here, but I left this extra space because if I had started a little askew, I would have still had room in my vinyl. This doesn't matter that you've made it larger. Because this one is so much larger, I'm just going to take a little off. Normally I would just leave this, but this wallpaper cuts really well when it doesn't stick to me. Now I simply need to clip my corners. You're going to clip close to the edge, but not quite. You don't want to get all the way up against it, because that would leave a small window to show the chipboard once you folded it. But you also can't get so far away that it bunches up your vinyl. It's kind of a hard, it's a trial and error. You need it to be about that much. It's easier for me to pick it up and see when I have to leave it laying down and look over the camera, it's hard for me to tell if I'm getting close or not. If you realize you have gotten too close to your card chipboard and you are concerned, you can take one of your little squares and put it in the corner to cover the chipboard before you fold it over, and that way if there is a little bitty edge there that you can see, it's hidden. I've had to do that in my other videos because I messed up. I like to fold from the center and work my way out. It keeps wrinkles and bubbles out. And you want to make sure it's really stuck down. You want to flip it around and do the same thing, working your way out. Now this was the little piece that didn't quite go all the way up. As you can tell, it made no difference to the book. This is a very thick vinyl, so it covered that problem really well. And I want to do all 4 sides. And here's the problem I was talking about. You can see the chipboard coming through. But if I took a corner, and I'm going to try to do this before it sets. If I took a little corner that I had cut off, I can add that in there. I do not want this to stick together. By adding the little, I'm trying not to undo this totally. Now the difference is that compared to that. You could also take a fine point Sharpie and color that in, and you would not see it either. And now I'm going to fold the other side down. And again, I clipped too short or did not fold enough, and that's why that is showing. It is super easy when it's a solid color to fix that problem. I guess that's the beauty of having a solid color or dark color. You do want to make sure you don't touch that until it dries. So now we have the outside of part of our triple fold, and we want to do the inside. The inside is just cardstock, and it's 12 inches by 8 1/4. This is 8 1/2, so this has to be a 1/4 inch shorter. You don't want it to go all the way to the edge because you don't want the edge to catch and pull the paper up. Now, Squeaky is empty, and I want to do a video on how to fill up the refills on Squeaky, so we are going to use score tape. And when I say Squeaky, I mean my advanced tape glider. This is what I normally use. But for this video, we are going to use score tape. Score tape is a little stronger in my opinion, but it's also a little more expensive. So I don't like to use it for large projects. This is not considered a large project. I want to make sure that I get all the way to the edge, as close as I can. And then because of this, I want to make sure that it's really secure. We're going to pull this bottom tape off so that I can overlap. Score tape is really easy to work with. You can break it with your fingers, really easy. Pulling the paper off, super simple. I get this on Amazon. I get like 3 different sizes. This is the widest I think it comes in, or the widest I've ever purchased. I got a variety pack last time. It was a really good deal. And you throw these on the floor so the cat can play with them for a few seconds. Now I'm going to put just a little on each of these because to me that's just too much space, not tacked down. The other thing you can do is you can use Mod Podge and paint it on with a paintbrush or rub it on with your finger. I'm very messy when it comes to Mod Podge and glitter and all that kind of stuff, so I try to use the double-sided tape. Now we want to place our cardstock that has adhesive in the center. And we're not going to be exact or picky or anything like that. It's homemade, it's not supposed to be exact. The more you do this, the closer it will be to being exact. Now you have 2 points that need to be folded. If you have a bone folder, or you can take it from your envelope punch board if you have one. This is from my works board. Very carefully make your creases. Once you've made them, then fold it over flat, doing both sides. I don't like to use this on the vinyl unless I've worked with the vinyl before, because some of these vinyls feel really thick, but you'll slice right through it with one of those. Sorry, my cardstock is wrinkled. I don't want you guys to think it's supposed to look like that. I accidentally sat on it in the chair a few minutes ago, so it's a little wrinkled. And there we have the double portion of our triple fold. We have our cardstock on the inside and our vinyl on the outside. So now let's go make the little section. The little one is so much easier. We are going to take this vinyl and do the same thing we did to the other one, except we're just putting one piece down. We're not having to line up and put multiple pieces down. But doing the same thing again, line it up with one of your lines so that you can start fairly straight. And then remove it. So I am going to look around the camera so that I can cut my vinyl proper and not have those gaps this time. We're just going to cut off the corners, not going all the way to the point of the chipboard. And you're going to notice there's more room here than there is here. It is okay as long as you have at least 1/4 of an inch, because this is going to go in so far that that's all you need to cover. You just want to go past that as much as you can. Again, I'm going to start in the center and I'm going to work my way out. Starting in the center and work the way out. Start in the center, especially on the small sides. Make sure you bring it all the way. And the fourth one. And now we're going to add the inside piece, which is just cardstock. And we're going to use our score tape again. Score tape may be the name brand for this, so I might be calling that the wrong thing. It is just double-sided tape or double-sided tear tape. I will put the link in the description or in the YouTube description so you guys can take a look at this and see if it's something you're interested in. I use this a lot for card making. And we're going to do the fourth side. And I want to put some in the middle so that it can lay down nice and stick nice. And this is why I use squeaky. this takes a lot longer than just rolling this across, but I am going to refill this on camera so that I can post the video. I know there are videos out there showing you how. Everybody has a different way of learning, so maybe my way might help somebody in need. We're going to place the inside piece of cardstock to cover up our chipboard, and again, we're just eyeballing, trying to get 1/4 of an inch on all 4 sides, and then pressing it down. And now we have all of our covers. It will actually sit like this. That is the cover to our notebook, and ladies and gentlemen, that is the hardest part of the entire book. And that was pretty simple. So now we need to put this together. Now, if you've seen my other videos or you're on my Facebook page, you know we use craftytinas Cinch log. And for this one, we are definitely using it as well, because we need to know where to put our holes, not only in our notebooks, but in our dividers and on our pages. One of my sections is the split wire measurements, and that's what we're going to use here. We are using 5. So we simply want to cut them apart. There's only one piece of metal. And then we want to use 5. Making sure I have 5 and 5. Now, when you have a small amount left, I'm not recommending keeping 1 or 2. If you have 3 left, save them, because I am going to make more videos. I've already done one showing that you can use just 3 to do projects. Now that we have our wires cut, and this is 7/8 inch wire, but this notebook was made for someone to use 1 inch. So you can use either 7/8 or 1 inch for this notebook. Let's put together our divider pockets first, and then we're going to punch all of our holes. This is just regular cardstock and scrapbook paper. Because our pages are 5.5 across, I took an 11-inch piece of paper, folded it in half so that it would fit over my cardstock. Once I folded it, all I did was take my scissors and just made a little wavy line. For this one, I did 11 inches, 5.5 and 5.5. Then I cut it 6 inches, folded it, and cut a slant. And for this one, I simply did the 11 inches, folded it in half. This is 5 inches. So I just took these out of the scrap bin just because they were black, white, and gray, just to be a little creative. If you have decorative scissors, you could use those. If you had border punches, you can use those. Anything you want to cut the paper. Folders are really simple. The only thing you have to do is put adhesive across the bottom, across the long bottom. And I didn't quite go to the end, and I specifically want to go to the end, so I'm just going to put another piece here. Once I have the adhesive all the way across the bottom, I'm going to add my cardstock to the corner, lining it up along the bottom, and then simply folding it over. And something on the back side over here went askew. Now, the only thing with score tape is it is not as forgiving as my tape dispenser. As you can see, it will rip really quick. So I don't recommend you doing this, but I was not watching. I did not make sure that it was folded properly. I will use washi tape or something to cover up that mistake. Remember, lots of happy little accidents, and all you have to do is find ways to cover them up. So let's go do the next one. I think this time we will do half and half. That might make it a little easier. Like I said, this score tape is not forgiving. So we're going to do half. So I don't want my score tape to go past the fold. We do half. We make sure that the fold is going to fold over properly. And then we can do the other half. The best part of making mistakes is learning how to move forward. Now we have 2, and let's do the third. This one has, well, actually no, it doesn't have right side and upside. If you're using a piece of scrapbook paper that does have a right way and a wrong way, you might want to pay attention to the outside of your paper before you attach it inside. So we are going to line it up. Make sure it folds over, and then put the adhesive on the other side. And now we have 3 very different pockets for our notebook. So let's put them where they belong in order. The first thing I wanted was my calendar. At the end of my calendar, I had a pocket or a divider. And then I had my lined papers ready for my stamped image. Then we added a pocket divider. Then I had my drawing paper, followed by the final. And my one pocket in the back has just a tiny bit of overlap, and I'm going to cut that off. I won't be able to do it after the fact because there will be a wire there. And there we go. This is the inside of my book. So now let's cut the inside pages. I did not leave room, top, bottom, or either side. My pages are the exact size of my book, so I don't have to do anything special from the pages to the cover. If you're wanting to leave a small space, check out some of my other videos on how to do the measurements so that you have space on the top and the bottom and the right hand side. We're going to swing this around and we're going to go back to Crafty Tina's cinch log. We are wanting to do 8.5. My cinch log has directions, side with wire. My cinch log only cares about the direction or the side that you're going to put the wires in, not the entire book. My wires are going to go on the 8.5 side, so I am going to find the 8.5 column line. This column is the side with wires, split wire measurements, 8.5. The next step is how many holes are we going to do? I have measurements for 5 and I have measurements for 6. We are using the 5 today. So 5 plus 5. My slider needs to be set at 1 1/4. So on my actual cinch, this is your slider. It needs to be set at 1 1/4. I'm going to push pegs 1 through 5. I'm going to pull out 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I'm pushing in, just like my column says, 1 through 5, and I am pulling out 6 through 12. If you do not already have this sheet, it's on my Facebook page. Check out the description of this YouTube, and I will put the link to my Facebook page. This is updated. I'm asking for anybody that wants more sizes on here, please just let me know, and I'm going to add them to the sheet. And when I do add them to the sheet, I post it again on the Facebook page. Now that these are in the order I want them in, I'm going to punch them. I always punch face down. So I want my pages to be punched 1 through 5. They go against my slider that is set at 1 1/4, all the way to the left and all the way inside, making sure they are flush with each other. And then I flip. I punch. And you guys see that? My 1 came undone. So I'm going to put it back over here. You guys watched me push that 1 in. So now I have 5 and 5 face down. Actually, this is the top, face down. You'll notice on the side of this it says punch, flip, and punch. Basically it means punch, flip, and punch. Again, face down, punch, flip, and punch. Face down. Punch, flip, punch. Face down. Punch, flip, punch. Face down. Now I have all of my pages. They're going to have the exact same space on the top and the bottom. Both have 5 holes. The inserts are all ready and done. So let's punch our covers. This is the front cover of the pages. It's this cover. So I'm going to punch it the exact same way I did my pages. Face down, punch, flip, punch. And now it lines up perfectly with all my pages. Now for this one, we are going to pretend this doesn't exist, because the only thing we are concerned with is this 8.5 inch size to punch our holes. As far as this machine goes, this does not exist. For this piece, this is the face up, because this is inside, this is the top. So we are going to punch this. So we are going to face down, and I just moved my slider. Face down all the way in and all the way to the left, just like this. We're going to punch, flip, punch. Now this will line up perfectly with my inserts and my cover page, because the machine doesn't care about this because it's not punching this. So now let's bind. We want our seam to be inside the back. So the first thing we do is add one of the wires. We put our pages in exactly the way we want them. This is page 1. This is what I want on top. This is the back. That's what I want in the back. We are going to put them on the wires. Sorry guys, I cannot see. There we go. We're going to put them on the 5 wires. Then we are going to use the paper to find where we want these wires to go. Because this is not a full piece, we can't just pop them up there and think, oh well, that's fine. What I was doing, guys, honestly, was I was putting it in here myself and then just hanging it up here. I didn't know if that would complicate or confuse anybody, but I was just basically putting them in here and then popping it on here. I still want to put it on here because I want to make sure all the layers are proper. Now this is the cover, so I want to make sure the cover goes face up on top of my front page into the binding wires. Now comes the back. We're again going to pretend this is not here. And if you watch my other videos, you know that I tell you to put the cover outside to the back cover outside together. So remember, we're pretending this doesn't exist. This will put the seam inside the back. Now my seam is going to be inside the back, just like this book. I don't want this wire seam on the outside of my book. Now I have all of my elements that I need in this book. I look around my desk and make sure there's nothing else I want to put in this, because once you bind it, I have never found a way to open these wires up and be able to successfully get them to cinch back. You would basically have to open them up and throw them away. So I look around to make sure I didn't leave out, you know, a pocket, a folder, a sheet. There's nothing here that needs to go in this book. We have everything. So now I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to turn my machine around. We're going to get rid of the big bite over here. Got lots of room for you guys to see this. I want to bind this, and then I want to bind this. I don't want to bind them together. They wouldn't fit in there anyway, and it does work out better if you don't bind them together. Before we can bind them, we have to set how much this is going to press down. These are 7/8. This book is made for 1 inch, so make sure you adjust this to whatever your wire is. Mine is a 7/8. You push and turn till you get to 7/8, and that is where you need it to be for your wires. If you have 1 inch wires, make sure you go to the 1 inch. So now I'm going to bring you down here. My wires go in here with the edges, that's this and this, up against the back. This will ensure that you have nice round coils. They don't get flattened. Once you put it in there and they are touching the back, you want to hold it to the back. Just holding your book firmly, not squeezing it, just holding it, and then press down. And now I have really pretty round wires. For the other one, I actually jumped to the other side because I like putting this side to the bottom. I don't know if it makes a difference, but I have had really good luck with my wires. I want to push them in all the way. See how they're up against the back, and I'm going to hold it there using the book, and I'm going to press down. And now my wires are nice and round. And we're going to come back up here and see how we did. And guys, we have our 1 inch triple fold blank calendar book. Which opens, calendar. If you wish to make this pocket, it's magnetic, to go into the side, please check out the video in the description. It shows you step by step how to use an envelope punch board, and it is a We Are Memory Keepers tool just like this one. It's going to show you how to make this step by step. Then all I did to add this was I used this score tape. I put strips on all 4 sides, one down the center, and I added it here. You can choose to add the white dry erase board over here. You could choose to put anything you want or nothing at all. I just wanted a set of gel pens to go with this, so the person can use these pretty colors to make their calendar and write in their journal in different colors. I'm also going to have a couple more videos coming with blank areas for stamps. I did find some really cool stamps on Amazon that is going to fit perfectly in here. And guys, you get 5 packs of these. I'm missing one. And they actually fit perfectly here. So I'm going to do some videos on that, and when I do, I'll make sure I provide the links. But it's a lot of inspirational and uplifting sayings, and then some borders. So these are going to make great journals coming up. But this is the requested 1 inch triple fold blank calendar. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Join the Facebook page, because then you will get these sheets before anybody else. They get posted on Facebook. They're free to download. They're in PDF format. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, happy crafting.